I'm Mombi.
And I'm CJ Peterson. Welcome to Magic Making Mischief. Today, we're going to be talking to author Cheryl Trent when she pops back in here. We had a little bit of mic issues. But before we begin, get your wands to the ready because we solemnly swear we're up to no good. So super excited to have Cheryl back. We had her on before regarding a cosplay contest. While we're waiting for her, Mombi, how was your weekend?
It was good. Mother's Day is always an interesting day for me. It'll go well, and then there's usually one snafu, and that just seems to be the tradition. But I mean, it's is what it is. It's part of the fun, we actually pretty much relaxed today.
Good. Hi, Miss Cheryl. How are you?
There we go. Welcome back. We just got started.
We had a little bit of technical difficulties, and actually sounds like it took care of it.
Yeah, it sounds perfect.
Shoot. I put the wrong thing in there. That's weird. Okay. So just a second. Let me get Cheryl's information into the chat because it got a little bit messed up. In the meantime, works hard, says she liked it, and she said, hey, my backyard science, and hey, Mombi, Roll, and CJ. So hi, works hard, and hi, my backyard science. Glad to see you all.
Thank y'all for listening, for coming, watching. I know she listens while she walks, so.
And just to find out, there was some feedback initially. That was part of our issue that was going on. So, Miss Cheryl, we had you on before regarding cosplay. So
you're a multi-talented.
Yes, I am. My other interview, she was like, "Wait, you have that too?" So I'm trying to pull up the Comic Palooza page. So y'all can get that link too, because I will be doing the literature track at Comic Palooza. So.
What is a literature track?
The literature track, they have panels at Comic Palooza for different areas, including, costuming and fan sections, entertainment, and of course, literature. And the literature track, I will be assisting with the Pottermore panel. Nice. And I will also be assisting, or I'll be doing literary tropes that need to die. So have a little fun with that one. And talk about certain tropes that just need to take it out.
Some of them just need to go to the side.
Yeah. Originally, it was tropes that need to die overall, specifically like within TV shows and entertainment, and like focusing on like every, if you have a LGBTQ character, she was POC and bi. That was it. That's all you got, and it's like, we can do more than that. We can, it's like, or the different things like that, and it's like, the fatherly character always has to look like this type thing. It's like, no, we can get past that.
Just for definition's sake, so trope basically is like a stereotype, right?
Yeah. And it's a trope is something that people can follow. CJ understands this, especially in literature. There are very big tropes that people specifically will look for. I'm going to look for a vampire romance book. That's a trope, it's like, I'm going to look big ones right now, or mafia werewolf, this specifically. Yeah, I'm loving all the tropes. Yes, tropes are great, but there are some that need to die.
Some like run their course, and a lot of times different phases and stuff go in and out. And
yeah.
Just kind of go with the flow.
It is going to be a challenge that they specifically want me to do literary tropes that need to die, because that kind of narrows it down a little bit more. And I don't like to trope hate. I don't like to, and it's like, if that's what you enjoy, that's absolutely fine. But I think there are definitely some tropes that could go the wayside.
I love doing. Sorry.
It's you.
Works hard says aliens have no females and need human women.
There is a Vela. There is a Vela I just read that's called Earth is Dying. And I might be able to pull up the author because I have it on there because I really enjoyed that one. And that one is that trope. It's just like the aliens have run out of females. And so they're basically, and that is an extended trope of the male marriage. I'm using the word wrong, male bride. That's an extended trope of the male bride.
Mail order brides.
That's kind of a pun there between the two.
Yeah. No, sometimes it gets fun, and it's like, and you have to use tropes, I'm gonna say you have to use tropes. Tropes are going to happen. Tropes are going to happen because they help the reader, and you can play with the trope, and you can like, oh, this is the trope that I'm going to be going along, and then you can tweak it a little bit and get the reader excited. It's like, oh, it wasn't what I was expecting, but I'm really enjoying this, type thing. So
yeah, a lot of times authors get pigeonholed into a certain genre, and even further sometimes into a certain trope. So it's like, for me, I'm multi-genre.
Yeah.
And so someone goes, well, if I write a different genre, do I need to change my pen name or my name? And I'm like, no, why would you? Does an actor change their name if they're changing a different genre or a different trope? Just because they're not evil and that they're good now, do they change their name?
But not everybody's Johnny Depp that they can like switch back and forth between characters so good. So you get a lot of stereotypes as far as that kind of thing. But yeah, I can see a
great example of someone who is multi-genre that has been successful is Neil Gaiman or James Patterson. Both of them have, spread out across. And it has been for a very long time. If this is what you write, this is all you can write. That's it. Mm-hmm. You just see a random child walk by. That's it. That's all you get to write. And like I said, pigeonholing, that's terrible. Mm-hmm. I mean, like the 4 books I have out right now, one is a vampire paranormal romance, one is a historical fiction, one is a poly fantasy, and then the other one is Medusa, Her Story, which is all about, regaining your power, So
yeah. It's difficult though, because they're like, well, I'm changing. I said, unless you're going from like children's to erotica.
Yeah.
Or the flip reverse. Yeah. I said, don't change because you have to start all over with your marketing. Number one, you have to like start everything all over again.
All over
again.
As long
as you're within like a certain zone.
Yeah.
You stay where you are. Books Hard says, I used to read all the time years ago, and then when I came back to reading all the time again and saw everything was trope city, so I had to get back on. I had to get on the bandwagon. It happens. It does.
Yeah. No, I've like sat in chats with other authors, and they're like, you can't write unless you write tropes. You can't write unless you write trend. And it's like, I don't personally believe that. I think writing is a passion. I think writing is something that, you're adding something beautiful to the world. So add your beauty. That is absolutely my tenet on that. And I think that with anything, I think, don't hide your beauty and who you are from the world at all, ever.
Write the book that you want to read.
Yeah.
Chances are that, their trends are called trends for a reason. They go up and they go down.
Yep.
They can go down just as fast as they went up.
Yep.
Well, and if you look at, like, say, as far as like authors from the past, look at the Bronte sisters. One of their books took off right away and was a great success. And if the other one hadn't written her book because she thought no one's going to like it, we wouldn't have Wuthering Heights right now. It's like, that is such a classic. I can't imagine, that her own sister, she's probably looking at that going, wow, that's success. I just can't believe I failed. But she never really failed because she put it out there. So yeah, everybody has their own style to it, so it doesn't matter which niche, which trope. I guess it's kind of like a niche in a way, it seems like, too. That was something that people were talking about the other day to me, because they're like, well, you've got too much variety on your YouTube channel. They're like, you need to niche down and just do either the Comic Cons or the Disney thing. And I'm just like, but I love both. That's not okay.
Just do one. And they cross over. I mean, just say, you know what? One day I'm going to do D23. I'm going to be there.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Works Hard says, I had to look up so many terms so I knew what the trope was about. I was like, what is a cozy witch story or a cupcake mystery?
Oh my gosh. I totally understand that. I had the same thing. It's like, these words just popped up on me. And I was always a reader growing up. And then I had kids. And so I went through the audiobooks and the kids' books phase. And then I came back around and I'm like, huh, well, that sounds right. Okay, we'll just go with that. That's
yeah.
that's
You can have like certain niche ones, but there's an overall umbrella. Like Mombi, you like a lot of clean reads. You know, clean reads are in a ton of categories.
Yeah.
Except Erotica, but you know what I'm saying. But clean reads falls under a lot of categories, and you're giving them a variety. You're giving them a choice of different ones to enjoy and see if they like it or not. Some may not like it, some do. But if you keep yourself stuck in one hole, we're multi people ourselves. You know what I mean? We're not just a single layer. We got layers, as Donkey would say. Layers.
Like Puppet, everything's Puppet.
Yeah. So we got them all over the place. I mean, there's tons of layers to us. Why would we be stuck reading if you read just one particular genre your entire life, it would be boring.
True.
Just saying. But what's not boring is Daughter's Fortune.
Yes.
Miss Cheryl's book. Why did she go mute?
Oh, we're muted.
She muted.
You're muted.
Muted. She suddenly muted. That's weird.
Weird.
I unmute? I cannot unmute. Herself. Mommy is the best, like a smutty version of what Mombi Rolla reads. I don't know what that means.
I'm thinking she means like the Mombi Rolla reads like the villain stories.
Cheryl, maybe you can turn your sound down a little bit.
Yeah, we get a little feedback again.
No, okay. So
there you go.
No, okay.
I'm having to wrestle. I have a USB mic. And that's also my keyboard. So, and the screen went blank, and I was like, "No!"
That's crazy. We can actually see you.
We can still see you. We just couldn't hear you.
Yeah.
But
Okay. So, Daughter's Fortune.
Daughter's Fortune. So that one I did read part of when it was on Bella, on how Bella
works. Still on Bella.
Mm-hmm. How Bella works is you initially Bella, you do get like a certain pocket amount to start your read. And then it will start to cost you as you go further into the chapters. So it's a great way to kind of get a taste for it. And so first question on my mouth is, when is Daughter's Fortune turning into a book?
Well, Daughter's Fortune right now just went through the editing phase, and we are doing the formatting phase right now. I have been very lucky. I've got some assistance going on to that. She even told me 2 days ago, she's like, "Hey, would you like me to format that book for you?" And I practically cried. I was like, "Yes, please format that for me."
Awesome.
So we're in that process right now. So, and we're working on the cover. I've got to nudge my photographer friend who already offered to do the book cover for us. And we're going to be using those pictures, pick one of those. I originally had a piece of artwork.
Speaking of pictures, here we go.
Yes, she went for this photo shoot on this boat. What boat was this that you were on? Because it looks gorgeous.
That is the Alyssa. Now, it's not Alyssa is 1877, but the Alyssa is at the Galveston port at all times. That is its home port, and they actually have a very cool thing where they are part of the Tall Ship series too. So if you ever want to go see a whole bunch of cool ships, look for the Tall Ship coming to your area, or if you are in Galveston, it usually hits about March or April. And they come in, and this last time I didn't get a chance to do it because I was doing something else, but they had a Dutch flute, which is what Jeannot's boat is. Daughter's Fortune is a Dutch flute, and they have a whole bunch of when they say tall ship, these are the ones that have the sails. So, and what's even cooler about it is you can actually set up and even go on cruises on these ships. So you can go on a day cruise, or you can go on a total journey. Like you can go to their next port or go to whatever destination, you can pay for that. The first time I experienced the tall ships, I watched a woman just load up her luggage and plop it into one of the ships. And I was like, man, that would be fun.
Do that someday. So looking at the pictures, I think this is the one you said that you may go with.
Yeah, this is one of the ones I'm looking at, cleaning it up a little bit, but I really like this one. And if you look at the dress, the reason I have this set up here is I actually made this dress, and it is set in the early Mantua style, but with Jeannot's, little tweaks and differences. But this would give you a good idea of what Jeannot would have worn on the ship. And if you read into the book, you know that she has like an infamous blue jacket that pops up a couple of times that, Roger's quite fascinated with. But and I did have a couple of pictures that I did the hair wrap as well that she wears typically, because, you're not going to sail with your hair down. Right. But Jeannot and I have very similar hair. And so I went ahead and I dropped my hair down and did a few pictures like that. And I fell in love with them. I was like, no, that those are the pictures. That's what works. That like really shows her off. Mm-hmm. So, gives you an idea of that wild nature that she has. So.
Yeah, it was, like I said, the time that it was set, you kind of highlighted the difficulty that women had during that time.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a really interesting time because they had more freedoms up to that point. Mm-hmm. This is a turning point in history where the control over women gets even tighter. There, because before, people don't realize that throughout history there were women in industry, there were women in running households, there were women leading battles, all of that. They were there, they were involved. I think one of my favorite historical facts that is pretty common now that wasn't known was that when they went and checked Viking raids, they discovered 50% of the warriors were women. And their society was almost like that. Viking society was almost 50-50. And that's kind of a little bit of Jeannot's heritage. So it isn't, her father doesn't even question that she has the ability to, to do these things. And, so it links into that. But yeah, she's constantly dealing with that. And as you go in further into the Enlightenment, that's actually the recourse that happens, is that there's a tighter control over women. Mm-hmm. And the more we become enlightened, the more oppressive, society does on POC and women and things like that as part of the control, so that we control the Enlightenment. And right. that's an underlying.
She's no delicate little flower. She's
not.
Somebody out and over into the ocean. I mean, she's not really fighting.
Okay, Roger willingly jumped.
You did, but there was another one that she actually.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So it's not just that she's battling. Well, first of all, say hi, James Money, because he said hi. But she's also battling the East Indian Trading Company stuff.
Yes.
She's got it on both sides coming at her, and her family all over. Gets her to marry.
Yeah, she's got it all over. She's got and I think I enjoy my blurb at the beginning of the book. Kind of does that because I use the words of the ship, then I use the aft and the bow and all that, because she has stuff coming at her from all directions. Mm-hmm. And in the middle of all this, there's this like guy, and she's like, "Who are you? Why do you keep showing up?" But yeah, and that continues. So we have season 1 has ended, technically book 1, and so that is coming out. So season 2 is, and all of it's accessible. It won't come off of Ella. So if you do want to read it serial style, you do want to read it in those tiny little chunks, and drop the coins when you want to read the book, and right now you have up to, I think, 60 episodes that you can read that are accessible. So
it's neat because it gives you a taste of the book to see if you like
it. Yeah. The first 3 episodes are free, and then you get those 200 free coins. If you've never used Kindle Vella before, you get 200 free coins that you can use. And most episodes cost between 6 to 15 coins. And I'm published under Cheryl L.G. Trent, and you have to type in Kindle Vella.
Yes, you can't just search on Amazon or anything like that for it. I've learned that.
Or use the link.
Or use the link that's from her link tree. It's right there. I'll put it back in for you. It works hard just so it's accessible for you. It's right there.
Yeah.
Just go to her link tree and it'll take you there. But you not only have that, you actually have a couple other ones going on too.
I do. Daughter's Fortune was the first one I put up there, and I've had great success with it. But actually, my vampire, bit spicy vampire book
is spicy on that one.
is about to outpace all of them. But spice sells. And I will say this, and I will say this because CJ, I know you love clean stuff, and and if you do love clean stuff, it's not a toxic book. It's just fun, and those spicy scenes have purpose, so
I don't like reading a book and it's just in there because sex sells. I hate that.
No, it's not at all. It's not at all. It's integral to the story. I could not leave it out. Because it is integral to the story, and it jumps off with a bang. But like with the way the story unravels, and I'm kind of knocking the trope on its side is what I'm doing with it, because it's a non-toxic relationship. There isn't an age gap between the characters, because the main character is an older woman and the vampire is only like 25 years of vampire. So they're both like the same age. They grew up in the same timeline. And so they really connect. And then and I'm throwing you into a story that's not just vampiric, but it's like fayish vampires. And because that's really because I don't jump into anything without heavy research, looking into it. And so vampires' origin is fayish, is from the fairies, like the true origins of vampires and things like that. And so as you're reading along in the book, it starts to unravel what type of vampires there are, and how this works in society. And the character gets turned into a vampire, and you get to watch that development and all that, so you get the world unraveled. And the world is actually set up for future books, because while I was writing it, I realized it was connected to 2 other stories I've already written in the past, 3 other stories, I think. And so those will come out eventually, and they'll be in the same world. And so, and you'll come across some of the characters that you meet in this one. You'll get their backstories, because they're 1970s and 1990 stories. And so, so you'll get this cool little world building that will be going on.
That's cool. I have like a series of 13 or 14 where the characters crossover storylines.
Yeah.
Kind of expanded. Works hard says, first of all, she loves the spice. I haven't heard that comment, but she loves the spice.
You will love Vella. You will love Vella.
On Kindle. She's never read any Vella. She says, I enjoy books without spice, but an author has to really be able to tell a story.
Yeah.
Regarding Vella, I was able to access it going on the computer version of Amazon. Is there another way to access it?
Oh, you can get it technically, there is an app. You can get it through Kindle Unlimited. You can access all of it through Kindle Unlimited. So if you have Kindle on your tablet or anything like that, you can access it that way. Again, it's just typing in Vella when you're doing searches, and they're supposed to pop up as well. There's supposed to be a little feature that says, has you tried Kindle Vella type thing. And so you can grab those. I do it on my phone. I read all of it on my phone. It's actually designed to be read on the phone. Like when they teach us how to set it up, it's designed so you don't have these super long chapters that you're reading on this tiny little phone. But so it's actually designed to break up a little bit easier and read really quickly. And yeah, no, I absolutely love it. And I will say again, like someone's talking about the spice, and I wanted to bring it up. Like I said, my spice is a little different. My spice is all about emotions. It's all about, the sensations and the feelings. And it's like, there are certain things that I don't say on purpose because I get frustrated when I'm reading and I'm like, I really didn't want to know that. Thanks.
Yeah. There's usually a big difference between a man being the author and a woman being the author, and there being a scene in a story, and it's just like
yeah, well, yeah, like I really don't touch any sort of spicy erotica, anything like that, unless I see a female author. But even then, female authors is like, sometimes you're like, no, not so much.
Well, it's either that, and we're talking about the tropes, whether it's just tossed in there for sake of tossing a checklist or a PC checklist or whatnot, or does it mean it? You're one character in Daughter's Fortune. He's gay, but it fits.
It fits the
storyline.
Yeah,
it's in there for a reason.
Yeah.
And so, like, if it's in there for a reason, I'm usually okay with it as long as it's not overly graphic.
Yeah.
But
I promise it's not.
But if they're just
Mommy can read it and tell you.
Set it to the side. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, don't bother putting it in there if it's not. It's
It's part of the
to the story.
and it flows with the story. Yes, it's like that's what. Yeah, Netflix has to learn that. That the story is the important part.
Yeah.
Works hard says, I like using my imagination and the angst, slow burn, etc.
You will love Daughter's Fortune. The slow
Yeah.
burn is real.
It is. I like it. Like I said, I think I got about 3/4 of the way through it.
If you got to the point where the second boyo was knocked off the ship.
Oh yeah, no, it wasn't knocked. She went.
Yeah, no, she straight up did it. Okay, I can't
straight up
see you.
tossed him over.
I can't see you, but I'll keep talking. My screen went to sleep. But no, straight up 100%. Or sorry, all you missed was kind of the winter break section, which is that.
No, I'm actually in the middle of the winter break section.
Yeah, and the winter break and getting all the way.
She heaved him over the side, and I'm like, yes, go. Go,
hey, we have rules.
Her personality is.
I love her.
Yes.
I cannot wait for the thing to come out because I want to add it to my bookshelf. So
yes.
You do have 2 other stories that you've got on Bella right now as well. You got Medusa, and I've started that one. I haven't gotten too deep into it, but I love the way that you approach her. And then you have a newer one too that you just published, right? In Bella.
Yes.
The priestess.
Karskanda. Yeah. So Medusa, her story, I absolutely adore. Again, a totally different type of story that's being told there. I am starting to call it a historical myth, is what I'm starting to call it, because I did all the intense research. I looked at all the myths. I looked at the actual histories. I looked at the histories of the myths, and I've delved deep into it. I'm looking at amphoras and images and writings and all this and everything to put it all together. And I came up with the story of Medusa to kind of, from not a male gaze. That's the whole purpose of Medusa, is that this story is told from her point of view. But I also told it from not she's an automatic villain point of view. Like, she does things, but she is not an automatic villain. She's not she's liberated, but she's not overly sexual. And so there are things in there that I wrote in there, and actually it's when I came around on the second time when I put it up onto Kindle Vella, because I was like, there's something missing in here. And so I did some rewrites in it, and I really love the rewrites. Adding in, I don't know if you've gotten to Cassia and then rewriting the whole relationship with Alexos much better. My kid, when they read it, they said, I like this much better because it needs to be the way it is which she is not in a reactionary, she is proactive. And that's really what that needed to be. And so I needed to be at a different point in my life to write this story, which is interesting too. But I love Medusa, and Medusa right now is it's going strong. It's up to 50 episodes, and we are at a turning point in the story where we're in the 3rd leg of the story. And this is the one where the myth starts to happen, where, the one we know where Perseus comes to kill Medusa type thing. But it's not what you expect. So definitely, yeah.
If you can write a quote unquote villain and the reader can actually empathize or understand them, then that's good writing. So you've already set the stage for.
Well, in my opinion, Medusa was never a villain. She was just written as one. Because if you look at the actual history of where her origin, of where she comes from, all the way to the point of why everyone knows Hermes and knows the Medusa logo. That is an actual, based off an actual talisman that Greeks used, and not just Greeks, but all of Mesopotamia used to ward off monsters. That was actually used to ward off monsters. And I kept, and the explanations when I went to look into it said, well, it's they were using a monster to ward off a monster. But when you dive into it a little bit deeper and you go beyond Greek mythology and you go into the original religions that existed, there is a goddess called Mahti, and Mahti actually protected children and women. that was one of the things that she did. And so by putting up her image on your house, you ask Mati, protect your women and your children. And so that's how I write that into the story. And I really love the way I wrote it into the story, and going in there. But it took, and this is one of those that I did from youth all the way. Usually I like start in the middle and then go on, but I wanted to really establish a beautiful story of this woman that becomes Medusa.
That's awesome. Okay, first of all, we're over time. So really quickly, Works Hard wants to know how long we've been writing. I've been writing since 2012. I have 18 going on 19 books. What about you?
Technically, I have been writing since I was a child, but I am dyslexic and neurodivergent. I have not officially published until December 2022. That is when I no, I take that back. I have been published in small magazines and such all the way back since 2000. So I have worked small serial magazines and small independent e-magazines to do short stories in, but this is the first time I've gotten paid.
So before we go, is there anything you'd like to add?
Just a quick, I do want to do a quick drop for Karskanda, because Karskanda is unique and original, because Karskanda is a mostly kisses. A mostly kisses poly romance, and it's set in the fantasy, and it's very different from what you would find in other Waichus, and I love it. I'm very proud of that story, and I'm very proud that my child helped me with that story, because I was struggling with the original story, and I was like, I just it's like, she loves both of them, what do I do? And Emil goes, they have two hands. And I was like, it changed the whole story and turned into this absolutely beautiful story. And I'm excited about it. So if you want to take an opportunity to check out a good poly that is mostly kisses, I would highly recommend that one. It's set in a fantasy realm setting, and it like struggles with, rules and guidelines versus what you really want and desire. So I think that one's really good.
Well, Cheryl, you're always a treat. But unfortunately, we do have to go.
Yes.
Cheryl's link is running across the screen if you're on video, and it's in the chat twice. If not, I kind of messed it up a little bit in there, but it's in there. So check it out. In the meantime, next week, we're going to actually have a pre-recorded, because I will be out of town, and it's going to be the cosplayers that are going to be appearing at Kimo Kawaii, and they're also going to be the judges for Kimo Kawaii, and that's going to be at the Lone Star Convention Center on June 3rd and 4th.
3rd and 4th, yes.
Okay, awesome.
First week
in Texas.
Yes.
Works Hard says these are fun. So, Mambu, would you like to take us out?
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. Thank you, Cheryl. We appreciate you being here again. And until next time, mischief managed.